Hi guys, thanks for joining me and welcome to this week's episode of Saint of the Week. Now this week's episode is about a really phenomenal guy called Saint John of God, who lived in the late 1400s, early 1500s. Now his life was pretty unbelievable. Like, he did so many things, and it's been really difficult to try and summarize his life into 5 facts. But I really would encourage you, after you've seen this video, to go and read a little bit more about him, because some of the things that he did, some of the things he was involved in really are bordering on unbelievable. So make sure you check him out. But this is 5 things that you need to know about Saint John of God. Number 1. So as I said, he was born in the 1400s, and when he was 8 years old, he ran away from home because he really wanted to see the world. But sadly, as an 8-year-old, he didn't really have the means to do that. So he ended up sort of begging, trying to move from town to town. Eventually, he was taken in by a wealthy family, and he worked as a shepherd on the mountains until the age of 27. Number 2, as we said, John really wanted to see the world. So he decided that the best way to do that was to join the Spanish army and fight against the French, which isn't very far away, but that's what he did. So he was a soldier, and he certainly wasn't the model of holiness. He enjoyed gambling, drinking, and even stealing from people that they'd fought against. But he fell off a horse that he'd stolen from a French soldier and really badly hurt himself. And he was so afraid of being captured and killed that he readdressed his life, and he made a vow to change his life for the better and to follow God. Number 3, he ended up back at the home of the man who'd first helped and raised him, and he took up his job as a shepherd again. And he used his time to contemplate and to think about where God was calling him to be. And at the time, there were a lot of Christians being held captive in Africa. So he decided to travel to Africa to help free them. But on his way to Africa, he met a family that was on its way back from Africa to Spain, and he decided to become their servant and look after them. They became really ill, so he went back to begging to make money to support the family that he was serving. And during this time, he fell more in love with his faith, and particularly with spiritual reading. And one of the ways that he used to make money was by selling religious books. And that's one of the reasons why St. John of God is the patron saint of booksellers. Number 4, after briefly being consigned to a mental hospital, St. John decided to establish his own hospital to serve the poor and the needy of the community where he was living. But the only problem was he had no money at all to do this. So he went back to begging, and he begged for money so that he could buy food and beds and clothing and medical supplies to help these people. And, you know, he really went out of his way to do absolutely everything he could to serve people who needed it, to the point where there was a fire at another hospital and everyone was waiting outside, but there were still patients inside. So he went into the burning building, rescued all of these patients, and then went back inside to try and save some of the medical supplies and things that he knew he desperately needed in his hospital. Number 5, the hospital was really successful, and things were going really well. And then there was a flood, and in his desire to help and save more people, St. John jumped into a river to try and rescue someone, and in the process caught pneumonia, and that sadly killed him at the age of 55. So what can we learn from this extraordinary life of a man who was in the army, who sold books, who begged, who opened a hospital, who saved people from burning buildings? Well, I think the really clear thing here is that he was a really impulsive character. He just sort of acted on impulse. This seems like a good idea, I'm going to go and do it. But what also comes out is that that impulse was really from a place of loving people. His constant desire to love and serve other people really shines through in his story. Around the world today, we know that there are people, even in our own communities, who desperately need our love and support. And St. John shows us that we don't need to spend lots of time thinking about how we can support people. We need to get out there and do it. And as we're in the season of Lent, we're called to remember to give alms, to be charitable to other people. So this week, think about how you can be more loving and caring to other people. And don't hold back. Don't wait. Follow the example of St. John and just do the most loving thing you can as often as you can. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great week. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.